Welcome to I'm Your Target Demographic. Today we're diving into Godzilla for the third time. We've covered the first two eras of Godzilla films, the Showa era and the Heisei era. Now it's time for the third era, called the Millennium era, which spans from 1999 to 2004. It's a relatively short period. This era is unlike the first two, that they don't necessarily share a continuity or a timeline, but instead each film is relatively independent. You want to see kaiju though, so we're going to show off the big bad monsters that appeared in these films. This is called the Millennium era because it started with the 1999 film Godzilla Millennium, which featured the kaiju Orga. This creature was intended to be a clone of Godzilla, but ended up horribly deformed, then attempting to kill and absorb Godzilla and truly become him. Godzilla used this to his advantage, allowing Orga to start swallowing him before unleashing his trademark atomic energy. We need to briefly touch on the Megaguirus, which was a footnote in the Showa era of Godzilla films, an insect creature that played into Rodan's origin. In the Millennium era, these insects were brought from their prehistoric roots into modern day through a black hole experiment, where some of their eggs ended up in the sewers of Tokyo. These insects merged into what is called Megaguirus, attacking Godzilla and then feeding to release their queen, the being known as Megaguirus. This thing is cruel, cognizant of the damage it's dealing and deaths it's causing. She takes pleasure in causing Godzilla pain. She had the upper hand until Godzilla ripped her stinger off and charged her with his atomic beam. We now transition to this era's version of the Mechagodzilla, called Kiryu, which is derived from the translation meaning machine dragon. In fiction, this beast was created to replicate Godzilla and defend Tokyo against other monstrous threats. This beast fought with the real Godzilla several times, with several upgrades, and eventually teamed up with the Millennium version of two Mothra larvae. In a surprise turn, this Mechagodzilla subdued the real Godzilla and retreated to the depths of the oceans together, a definitive victory from the Mechagodzilla. Now, in a weird move, we also have a satire of the '98 American Godzilla film. So Toho introduced a character called Zilla, though I don't believe it's ever called that in the films. It was even created to mock the heavy CGI effects that the American film used. The last new kaiju introduced in this era is Monster X, or eventually called Keizer Ghidorah. In his Monster X form, he was on an asteroid that Godzilla destroyed, but the asteroid still mostly destroyed the city, causing Monster X to fight Godzilla in the rubble. It was a bit of a stalemate, so Monster X evolved into the form called Keizer Ghidorah, resembling the original Ghidorah design. Eventually, Godzilla killed this Ghidorah and sent his corpse back to space. And with that, we're pretty much into the modern era, with Japanese films such as Shin Godzilla and the legendary movies including the Godzilla films and King Kong Skull Island. Thanks for adventuring with us as we discuss the kaiju that faced off against Godzilla, and thanks for watching.